don't know if I'll ever go back to the game, to be honest. I don't fucking blame you. I personally wouldn't recommend anybody play this.
I am Melania, Blade of Mikola.
Like, there's a lot of this game that just feels like it falls flat. There's a lot of copy-pasted, recycled shit, and it just gets old. Like, if somebody was going to play this game, I would probably tell them, look up a guide, find out what you want, and only get that stuff. Then follow the story things. Because exploring this game isn't fun, it's not rewarding. You don't get shit for it, 90% of the time. And it's full of nothing but constant repeat boss encounters. Like, I was already starting to feel like I didn't really like this game around like 20 to 30 hours in. I was like, I'm not really feeling this game. You know, like, it's a lot of copy-paste stuff. The words boring. But I was like, it's not terrible, though. Like, I kept pushing myself to keep playing. And, like, some of the actual story fights, like, the first, quote-unquote, first big boss you actually fight, fun, you know? Like, a couple of fights are actually kind of fun. Or interesting. But those fights are so few and far between, that's like, is it fucking worth it? And honestly, I don't really think it is. But there's so many people sitting there like, this is the greatest game released in the past several decades, and it's like, why? What the fuck about this game could possibly make you think that? 'Cause I didn't fucking get it, and I'd love to be clued in.
I am Melania, Blade of Mikola.
Got like 20 hours in and quit. Beat Margit and Godric, I think. So 2 of the kind of actually fun fights you did. Congratulations, that's probably as much fun as you'll have in the game. I beat it more like 100% more or less, but yeah, 155 bosses and there's like 6 unique ones. Wow. Like, what really got to me is like, when I got to fight bosses that were repeats, copy-pasted, and there was more than one achievement tied to said boss that you fight more than once. So it's like, you fight Margit, right? And Kaneki, I don't know if you care about spoilers real quick, but, or Kaneki, what, I don't know. Who tells at the moment to care? I don't know if you really care about spoilers, I assume not, because I'm pretty sure you watch Peeve anyways. You fight Margit. He has an achievement tied to him. Cool. Later in the game, you get to the capital city, you fight him again! And he's just a little bit improved, and he has another fucking achievement tied to him. You fight Godric. Cool, you kill him. He's gone. You go somewhere else, and you fight Memory of basically Godric. But just without the dragon arm. He doesn't have an achievement tied to him, but it's literally the same exact fucking boss, and that is a big story boss that they just pasted again. Like, what the fuck? Or the Chimera thing. You fight the Chimera as like as a story boss like 3 times. It's ridiculous. Estelle, does Estelle have multiple achievements tied to them too? But you fight Estelle like 80 times. There's Estelle as a boss, there's Estelle as a late game boss, and there's several like Estelle type creatures just hanging out underground. Or like the fucking Crucible Knight. You fight the Crucible Knight in a jail or whatever, and I think you get an achievement for that. I don't quite remember if you do or not. Then you fight the Crucible Knight with the Chimera, and I'm like 90% sure that double boss fight, which is one of the most cancerous experiences I've ever had in a FromSoft game, has an achievement tied to it. The two of them at once. When the Chimera already has an achievement tied to him from the southern island fucking archipelago or whatever the fuck this is. Like down here. You fight him here, he has an achievement. You go here, you fight him and a Crucible Knight, and it's an achievement. As well as an incredibly small boss arena with shit littered everywhere that you get stuck on constantly. Constantly, it's so fucking obnoxious. And then there's Crucible Knights everywhere. Like I fought at least 20 Crucible Knights that are just around. It's like, holy shit. And they're not bosses this time, they're just normal enemies with boss equivalent HP and damage. And there's also the fucking variant Crucible Knight, which is just Crucible Knight, but without the Great Shield and a spear instead. And then there's dragons. The dragons are all basically fucking copy-paste. I think some of them even have fucking achievements. But there's one here, one here, one here, one here, 3 up here somewhere. You fight a fucking dragon the moment you get into Altus. There's the Magma Worm here, here, here. I'm pretty sure there's one in a fucking cave somewhere for the Magma Worm. It's ridiculous. Alright, speaking of fucking story bosses, there's Commander O'Neill right here, right? You get him. He's part of the actual story for a character. You kill him there, he has an achievement. You come up here, you fucking fight him here, and he has an achievement, I'm pretty sure. And then, yeah, there's the fucking ulcerated tree spirits that you fight dozens of times for the Estus Flask upgrades. There's the fucking tree sentinels, the immediate boss you fight when you get out of the actual tutorial area. He's just fucking like sitting like right here, right in front of this church. You fight him here, and you don't see him for a little while. You're like, huh, wow, okay. And then you get here, and there's 2 of them at once. And then you get here, and there's a dragon variant, which is just him again, but casts magic. Oh yeah, but you get here, and there's a variant of him, but it's a ghost, and it's apparently a girl, and it casts sorceries instead of dragon lightning. But wait, you get up here to the Hailing Tree, and you fight the magic one again, but this time it's the real one, and it's still basically the same exact fight. And don't even get, and then there's the death birds. There's at least like 4 or 5 of them that only spawn during the night. And then there's also the Night Riders, which also only spawn at night. But it's basically tree sentinels with different weapons, and there's like 12 of them. But wait, there's more, because also during night, there's bosses that spawn around the fucking merchant guys. And there's dozens of them. Like, it's fucking insane how many repeat bosses are in this game. Like, this game would have been much better off, not as an open world game like it is, but more of like Dark Souls 1, 2, 2, Dark Souls 1 and 3 style, where it's a semi-open world with very clear paths that you take to get to, guess what? Relatively unique content wherever you go. Like, it's not that fucking hard to understand if you're critical about the game in any way. It's ridiculous. And then there's people huffing copium like this is the greatest fucking game released in the past 100 years. Like, this shit's greater than Checkers. I don't fucking get it. Don't ask why I said Checkers, that's just the first game that came to mind. And the worst part is, I'm sure I'm forgetting more bosses that are just repeats of themselves. I'm not counting the boss fights that are just normal enemies put in a boss encounter. Like, I'm not counting the rot knights, the rot clean knights or whatever the fuck, that are all over the swamp and the Halid tree. Because they're a boss fight 2 or 3 times, but they're more of just normal enemies that are put there as a boss fight. So I'm not even counting those. Like, it's different from the Chimera and Tree Sentinel, or Tree Crucible Knight, that's it. That are just, those are boss fights. And every time you see one, it's still a boss fight, but just without the fucking health bar. Oh, that's it. The fucking, Godskins. You fight the Godskins multiple times. And I actually know for a fact that I have at least one more encounter with them, because I do know that here, in this place, which is the next story area that I have to go to, has a double Godskin fight, which they already fucking did over here in Volcano Manor, where you fight both of them at once. So you fight the skinny Godskin here. And then you fight the fat one. I think you fight him here. And then you fight both of them at once here. And then you fight both of them at once again here. But as far as I know, it's going to be more like the Four Kings. So you kill one, and then another one of that kind spawns in its place until the total health bar is depleted. Oh wait, I missed one. You also fight the skinny Godskin somewhere else here. Or no. No, you fight the skinny Godskin up here in this windmill place. I'm pretty sure this is the bonfire for it, right here. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. And I'm sure plenty of people just kind of sped through the game, not really trying to explore anything, which is probably why a lot of people don't, like, see these faults, or they just aren't critical enough of a game that they play, and they're like, yeah, Elden Ring's at least 10 out of 10, I mean, it was cool, I beat it. 10 out of 10 IGN, you know, it's pretty good. I cheated for the last boss. I, used some hacks to slow the boss down and play the game at like a reduced speed so I could win. Sekiro. But 10 out of 10, it's a pretty good game. Yeah. I love it. Okay, I think I'm done with that rant. The fuck did I miss in chat? As someone else put it that I felt was good, when it comes to how recycled content works, well, in Dark Souls, let's say Capra and Taurus Demon. They work because they're two minor enemies that get the feeling of progression. Elden Ring would be like taking Quelaag and slapping her everywhere. Yeah, pretty much. Taurus Demon and Capra Demon are fine because they're minor enemies that are bosses early game when you're super weak. and you find them again later, and they are much easier because you have way more damage, and they're still about as strong as the first initial boss one you fought. Unlike in this game, where you'll fight a boss enemy, and then you'll find it again in the wild, and it's still the equivalent of like a higher scaled boss, and you're not steamrolling it like you will Tauros Demon later. It's like people who love Breath of the Wild. For me, I prefer all the Zelda games before it that are more linear. Like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess have open world aspects with a still clear progression line. I can't really comment on Zelda games because I've never played them. I've watched Breath of the Wild. I watched a lot of Breath of the Wild. I've watched speedruns of Breath of the Wild. I've watched speedruns of other Zelda games too. I've watched plenty of speedruns of Zelda, of Breath of the Wild in particular. Like a lot of cool tech and stuff. Or like I've watched Peeves' extremely extensive playthrough of Breath of the Wild. And like watching him play it was fun. It was enjoyable to watch. But I feel like I would fucking hate that game if I played it myself. Because it's just another bland as fuck open world with little to nothing going on. And that's Zelda. That's just Breath of the Wild. And then it has the really shitty, well, you swing your weapon 5 times, it fucking breaks. So I guess you just lost that really good weapon you had. But don't worry. This enemy will drop a new weapon for you that is just significantly worse than the weapon you broke fighting him. Speaking of other shitty mechanics, this game's crafting system. Fuck. I don't want that on the map. Go away. So this game has a crafting system. The game's crafting system isn't immediately available. Okay, fine. You gotta go to the church that's behind the first tree sentinel. You talk to the merchant, you buy a crafting kit. That's fine. That's whatever. I would prefer if you could just, have the crafting kit to start with, but you don't have it. That's whatever. You get the crafting kit. Well, you have the crafting kit. But do you have all of the fucking recipe books? I don't even have all of them. This isn't all of them. Let's see. I'm missing 8. I'm missing. I'm pretty sure there's Nomadic Armor Warrior book 25 too. I'm missing Armor 1. Like, this isn't all of them. This is tons of fucking crafting books. Most of these are for random shit you'll never use, or that aren't good enough to use. Because you have to farm crafting materials. All of these, you have to farm all these items if you want to use any of these. Some of these things you can buy, like you can buy these basic poison neutralizing things. You can buy basic arrows. You cannot buy any kind of pot. No bombs. You can't buy any bombs. You can't buy any of these perfumes. Like, a lot of these items you can't fucking buy. You have to make them. And grinding for them is incredibly fucking tedious. Like, you're gonna use these, you're not gonna fucking have them anymore. Especially with some of these fucking items like, some of the perfumes require these, the Eteria leaves. These you can find one in non-respawning spots around the map until you get to the mountaintop of the Giants, where the Giants have a rare chance of dropping them. So, there's no point in trying to spec in to using these items, because you can't fucking get them reasonably. Like, what the fuck? Why have them? You can't fucking use them, and then, like, a lot of them, like this right here, these Scarlet Rot ones. Oh, look at that, I actually ended up with quite a bit of the materials to make them. Like, if you miss that cookbook to make these, you just fucking can't make them. You can't get them. You'll find like 5 or 10 out in the world, and there's so many fucking poison swamps in this area that you'll just not have them anymore. And you'll be fucked going to any of the poison areas or getting poisoned from then on, unless you use the pyromancy that cures it. which is slow and that consumes your MP. So it's like, oh yeah, I want to do like a build, I want to use these items. You fucking can't. You can't use this stuff reasonably unless you get somebody to drop 999 of it for you. I'm just talking about the crafting materials. Somebody will drop 999 of a crafting material for you, and then you won't get 999 of a consumable from that item. Because plenty of items use multiple of one and multiple different kinds of fucking items. So it's like, why the fuck did you add this? Did you feel obligated just because it's a fucking open world game? It's absolute dog shit. And maybe it's fine. Like, if this was like a new game thing, or like you'd eventually get like, you get bells that expand shop options. Like, if you eventually get those to either let you just buy the crafted items or buy the crafting materials, it would be fucking fine. Even if you have to go to New Game Plus to fucking do it. Like, you go to New Game Plus, and now these bells become available, either they just become available in the shop, you just have the fucking items in the shop now in New Game Plus, or you have to, like, go somewhere and do something to get them. That'd be fucking fine. Like, go to New Game Plus, the moment you kill the final boss, all the New Game Zero bells are unlocked, just immediately. Make your life easier. That would release so much tedium from this. But then, like, say you have to go to New Game Plus to unlock, like, the bells for all the crafting materials. That would be fucking fine. It would give you a reason to replay through the game on the same character other than, haha, it's a bit harder. And it would, make it viable to use these fucking items for, I don't know, New Game Plus runs. Where, yeah, now you can use these fucking swarm pots. Yeah, you can use these volcano pots as much as you want because you can just get the items now. Or, the hell, PvP. Oh, I want to be able to use spark perfumes and random aromatics for my PvP build because those are pretty fucking good. I'll go and I'll do New Game Plus so that I unlock these items and I can reasonably use them for PvPing. Wow, isn't that a good fucking idea? Isn't that cool? Wouldn't that make it worth it? Instead it's no, you get incredibly limited amounts of shit that if you don't just get those limited amounts and you never find out where to farm them, and they'll be fucking miles away ahead in the game to farm these fucking items. You won't be able to use them. Like somebody was suggesting I use some pots earlier. Why? I'll try like 5 times, I'll be out of those fucking items, I'll never get to use them again. Unless I get somebody to drop me the fucking crafting materials. It's ridiculous. It's fucking insane. And I'm murdering my throat with this. And I'm murdering my. And I'm murdering my throat with this fucking unreasonably high energy rant because I like video games. I like being critical of video games. This kind of thing is something I'm invested in. Like I go out of my way to set time away to play shit like this, and it's so it's obviously something that I'm passionate about. So seeing these issues and like this game could have been so much better with a couple different ways of approaching the shit they've done with it. Like even if it got shipped. Oh my god, I shouldn't have said that. Now I'm remembering that the game shipped completely unfinished and they randomly added stuff that should have been in the game over time. That's fucking annoying. Like, there's apparently quest lines that I just fucking missed because it wasn't part of the game on release. I don't want to talk about that though. I'm not gonna get into that. Even if the game released in its current open world state, with lots of copy pasted stuff, if those things just gave you rewarding rewards, like they give you a bell for crafting materials that are relevant, so you don't have to buy them. If they just, you know, didn't give you another shitty Ash of War or another shitty Spirit Ash for the 20th, 30th, 40th time, and gave you, you know, crafting material bells, that would be fucking worth it, possibly, because you might get a bell for an actual fucking crafting material that you need for a crafting thing that you want. Like, the boss drops, you go to the fucking cave. You go to the cave with, the Chimera in it. It's in the Mountaintops of the Giants, I think. You go to that cave. You kill him. He's got that fucking shitty... I don't know if it's actually shitty. He has that stupid-ass Faith Greatsword. Maybe instead of him dropping the stupid-ass Faith Greatsword... Well, maybe alongside dropping the stupid-ass Faith Greatsword, he also drops a cookbook. If they don't want to just give you the fucking cookbooks immediately, because it's stupid that you have to fucking find those in the first place with how limited crafting items are. So he drops a cookbook, and maybe a bell with relevant crafting materials for that cookbook. That would be worth it. That could expand so many options for how you could play the game. That'd be great. Instead, he drops you a shitty-ass Faith Greatsword that you probably can't use unless you're doing a Strength Faith build, which isn't entirely hard to believe that people are doing. It's one of the more common build types. But, like, I can't fucking use it. Somebody doing a Dex build can't use it. A Strength Int build can't use it. It's... Like, it's fine. It's fine for bosses to drop stuff like that. Like, I'm not saying it's not. But it's just one of those examples of dozens and dozens and dozens of unnecessary fights that are copy-pastes of previous battles that give you something that you're likely not going to need, or want, or use, or care about in any capacity. Unless you're one in maybe like 12 build styles that this game has. Like, they could have given you something along with it to make it worth it, even if you're not going to use the weapon. And that would have felt so much better. It wouldn't have felt like a massive waste of time if I walked into this cave and I killed the fucking Clean Rot Knights. And sure, maybe they drop their fucking weapon or their Spirit Ash still. But maybe they give you the bell that lets you buy the materials that you need to make the rot cleansing items. Like, it's not that hard to think of this stuff. Like, From Software isn't a small company. They have a lot of... They are a popular company now. Like, they're not a big, huge company, but they're not small. They've been around for a long-ass time. Like, their company's, what, 30, 40-ish years old? Something like that? Maybe more. This isn't like a sprung new indie game dev. Like, you would think that after 40-ish years of experience, they would be able to get this stuff down. And, like, I get it. This game was a big undertaking. This is a large game. It's a big game. Like, it's huge. Even though a lot of it's copy-pasted stuff, like, there's a lot in it. And obviously, they had to make new models for stuff. They had to make new areas, new textures, new spells and art, and all this other stuff. But, like, I'm sure everybody would have been fine if they just delayed the game a bit to release it in a better state. Like, this game did not release in a good state. Like, the fucking falling star beast in the one cave that I fought was an adult falling star beast that shouldn't have been there. It was supposed to be a young one. And okay, stuff like that can fall through the cracks. That's fine, I get it. Then there's fucking quest lines with important NPCs that you just don't get because it wasn't in the game when I was playing this game on launch. there's fucked up text in all kinds of the frickin' items, which that's more of a localizer problem, but that's still an issue that I'm pretty sure From Software is considered like a AAA company, aren't they? Like, I don't get it. Like, take another year to work out a lot of the stuff so people can play test it and so much more. Like, if they would have had like another year or two of development, I feel like this game probably would have been in a much, much better state. And obviously, I don't know what's going on at From Software with whatever time constraints or like funding or budgeting or whatever they have going on for this game or like their next game or whatever other games they have going on. I don't know, obviously. It's just a shame to sit here and know that this could have been so much better with a bit more dev time. Or with some playtesting, like larger playtest groups. Like find some people that are pretty critical of games to sit down, hire them to playtest. Although I know a lot of companies just outsource the playtesting and quality assurance to other companies that specialize in that, because it's very expensive to have an in-team playtesting group. That's expensive. I know. Not everybody's Bethesda, which it's very surprising that they playtest any of their games. Or there's a couple of other companies that have playtesting in their corporation that I just can't think of at the moment. But I get that it's expensive. But it's something that needs to be done. Even if you just have, like, the devs, like, playtest stuff on the side. And, like, maybe they thought it was a good idea. Like, this is their first game like this. As much as I don't really want to see any more Souls-like games, like Souls genre games, especially from Software, because it's kind of stale at this point. And by kind of, I mean extremely. Like, if or when they make another game like this, I'm sure they'll have learned a lot. Maybe stuff that I'm complaining about right now will be different a decade from now when we maybe get another one of these games. Like, only time will tell. But, like, I don't know. Jeez, how fucking long was I ranting? How long was that? That has to have been at least a half hour at least. Jesus Christ. I normally don't go that deep into my thoughts on video games. Because a lot of people, it's like, oh, you're just complaining for complaining. Why can't you just enjoy the game? There's a lot of people out there that just sit there and it's like, oh, well, you're just complaining. I don't want to hear you complaining. I only want to hear positive things. Because I'm fucking IGN, 10 out of 10. Every game I play has to be 10 out of 10. I can't be critical of things. I just want to, not think, because thinking is hard. Like, I can't sit down and objectively look at a game and be like, yeah, this could be better. This could be worse. This is nice. This is well done. This is poorly done. And, like, rate a game objectively, because not everything has to be 10 out of 10. It can't, like, a game can't be a 7 out of 10. That would be a bad game. Dude, fucking rating games is an exponential curve now. Like, it's no longer a linear growth. It's like, oh, this is a 1, it's absolute dog shit, don't play it. It's a 2, it's a bit better, but it's still dog shit. And scaling up to like a 5, where, yeah, it's a fine game. It is a game. Like, you could play it, there's better things, there's worse things. It may or may not be a waste of your time. It depends on your experience. And like, there's a 6, where it's like, yeah, it's pretty good. There's still quite a bit better, but yeah, it's nice. And like a 7 is like a solid game. But, like, people don't see it like that anymore. Like, people are like, this is a 10 out of 10, it has to be at least a 9, or I won't play it. It would be shit if everybody doesn't say it's at least a 9 or a 10 out of 10. And, like, all the big game journals and shit like that are fucking jokes, because they're like, yeah, everything's 10 out of 10. Everything. This game, 10 out of 10. That game, 10 out of 10. Everything's a 10 out of 10. We can't say otherwise. Because we want people to click on our fucking reviews. And if we say that a game is bad, they won't click on it, because they'll say, well, fuck you. Or if we say a game is bad, we won't get special privileges from dev companies to get the game early, so that we can do reviews on day one. We need them clicks. There is no journalistic integrity in the entire gaming journalist architecture of this society. We live in a society. Something about the Joker. Oh, my throat is killing me. Too much talking too quickly in a very short period of time. By short period of time, I mean a half hour, which is a long time to be talking constantly. What else did I miss in this fucking chat? I wanted to have cold arrows for my magic bow. But yeah, it's a farm fest. Eternal Ring had a better crafting system with the magic crafting. I don't know anything about Eternal Ring personally. Zeal, can I borrow 5% of the energy you have right now? I'll give it back. No. No, it's mine. I had to spend all of it on that fucking rant. I do feel a bit better after letting all that out of my system, though. So that's nice. Hence what I meant earlier when I'm surprised they fix some stuff when done good in previous games, and then they scrap it for some random reason for this. It's like sitting on sitting on solutions, but you decide not to use them. It frustrates me. Yeah. So something like that, Mr. Bop actually mentioned in the Discord, in the Elden Ring chat specifically. He was like, you know what's really fucking weird to me? You know what's really fucking weird? In all the Souls games, if you boost your stats, all those pop up, as if though you just got infected. Because, you know, your stats getting higher, but for some reason, you also get that difference for the stat jump in your resistances, shown on the bar as if though you're infected. And he was like, all the Souls do that. Dark Souls 2 does it. Or, I'm not Dark Souls 2. Demon Souls does it. Dark Souls 1 does it. Dark Souls 3 does it. Bloodborne does it. Guess what? Elden Ring does it. In Dark Souls 2, they fixed that. It didn't do that anymore in Dark Souls 2. If you did something that boosted your stats a lot, you wouldn't get infected. You wouldn't have, applied status to you for boosting your stat resistance to that effect. Dark Souls 2 had that fixed. And then in Dark Souls 3, it's an issue again. Well, it's not really an issue, but it's like, that shouldn't be happening. Dark Souls 2 fucking fixed that. Why is it happening again? Or something else Dark Souls 2 had that was really nice. And guess what? It's incredibly fucking relevant to me. You know, Dark Souls 2 shows you all of your fucking stats. All of your different resistances, your poise, your breakpoints, they don't tell you your iframes, but they tell you the stat related to your iframes and what that's at. But something very fucking important that Dark Souls 2 shows is your casting speed. Dark Souls 2, in the stat menu, shows your fucking casting speed modifier. Why doesn't Dark Souls 3 do that? Why doesn't fucking Elden Ring do that? It would be so much easier to find out. like what caps and stuff are for information that should basically just be fucking available. But FromSoft doesn't like giving you that info. Dude, my throat is killing me. So I assume this is a comment from when I was talking about the open world stuff. I hope by then the open world hype is dead. I hate open world. And I get it. Like, people, like, Nintendo released Breath of the Wild. And it was a massive success. So now so many companies are trying to make games that are open world because Breath of the Wild did it. And it was successful. I can't really think of any real examples at the moment for it, but I know a lot of companies have done it. Like, it's just like how From Software had massive success with the Dark Souls stuff. So shit tons of companies went and were like, I gotta copy that. I gotta make my own version of that. I have to do that too. And a lot of them tried copying it one for one. Some of them innovated decently on it. Others made extremely shitty imitations of it. And then Breath of the Wild came out, and they were like, well, Breath of the Wild was successful, we gotta fucking copy that now. Open world must be the new thing, because Breath of the Wild was, well received. Is there journalistic integrity anywhere else? No. No, there's not, but I feel like it's just particularly bad in the video game, I can't think of the word. It's lost. And definitely not community. The video game ecosystem, I feel like it's especially bad for journalism in that setting. And that might just be because I'm much more into the whole video game thing than I am, like, the movie ecosystem. I know movie journalism's a fucking joke. I know, like, normal media is a fucking joke for, like, news. But, so, maybe I'm just biased. And because I'm deeply entrenched in the video game scene, I can tell specifically how fucking bad it is in this setting in particular, compared to other ones that I don't know as well. This rant was at least on Peeves' level. Enjoyed every second of it. So I like Peeves' rants. I'm not gonna say I don't. They tend to be entertaining, at the very least. Even if he goes on the same one occasionally, like, it's very much like repeat content every time he goes on a rant. He's like, oh yes! Oh fuck yeah, he's getting in the MMO rant. I can't wait to hear this one again for the 18th time. So, like, I like it when Peeve rants about stuff, because it's very clearly, like, if he's ranting about something, it's something he's passionate about. But I also feel like a lot of times he doesn't go very in-depth on why he feels that way about said thing. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he doesn't. It's very hit or miss. Sometimes it's just a rant for the sake of a rant, which isn't bad. You know, it fills the space. I feel so much better getting that all out of my system. Because it's stuff I've just kind of been holding in. Because a lot of times if I give my opinions on games, people are like, Yeah, but fuck you, who asked? Like, alright. Alright, good talk. Good conversation in this public space. Fuck me, I guess. Like, I know a lot of people that I've interacted with in, like, Peeves Discord. Like, I know a lot of people have a really, I don't want to say negative impression of me. The impression a lot of people have of me is that I'm just a negative person. I don't think that's right to say. Like, I just like to give credit where credit's due. And I just end up talking about the bad points of things more often than I talk about the good points of things. Because a lot of people go and they're like, this is good about this game, and that's the only thing I'm going to focus on, is the good aspects. Because I'm only focusing on the good aspects, it's 10 out of 10. Instead of, taking a step back and looking at things more objectively and being like, yeah, this could have been better. That could have been better. Maybe it's not as good as I thought it was, but I at least enjoyed it. And that's more or less what you really want from a game, is at least enjoying it. But I think it's really weird when people get offended or upset when you point out something that's bad about a game. You're more of a glass half empty kind of guy. So, I've said this a couple times before. I think I've said this a few times on my stream. My brother apparently doesn't remember saying it, but there was a point where my brother looked at me and he was like, Zeal, there's people that are a glass half full kind of guy. There's people that are a glass half empty kind of guy. But you, I think your glass is broken. It's like, oh, thanks. I love you too, bro. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And you know what? Maybe he's not wrong. But he didn't have to put me on blast like that. Depends on the context. Like, if someone's gushing about their enjoyment and you just shit on them for liking it, it's just like, why? But if you're just talking, I don't see why it matters. Also, that made me laugh. Good. Because it's funny. It's definitely funny, because my brother, he called me out pretty hard. And it's pretty accurate. But still, fuck him. Some people take criticism of what they like as personal criticism of them as a person, yeah. And it's weird to me. It's very weird. I actually had a recent experience with somebody like that. During one of Peeve's streams, I think it was an Elden Ring stream, quite a bit ago, something got brought up where people started talking about, Bethesda in the Twitch chat. And I was like, oh, okay, I could take part in this conversation. And, a lot of people were more or less on the side that, nobody's really excited for, the upcoming Bethesda stuff. Because Bethesda doesn't really make the best games. Their Bethesda games can be enjoyable. They're not good. Bethesda games aren't good. They're average at best. I played Skyrim recently, pretty much, literally right before playing Elden Ring. I'd probably give Skyrim a 5 out of 10. It's a fine game. You could play it, you could sit down, you have, nothing better to do, and you could find something enjoyable in Skyrim. Even with everything that's wrong with Skyrim. You could have a fun time. It's not a bad game. It's not terrible, at least. It's not good, it's not bad. It's in the middle. I said something along the lines in Peeve's chat of, yeah, I'm not really interested in any of the upcoming Bethesda stuff, Starfield and shit, like, I mean, it's Bethesda, like, it's probably not going to be good, because, you know, that's just what Bethesda releases. Like, they release relatively mediocre or average things. And somebody in Peeves' chat got really fucking upset. I don't know if they singled me out or if they messaged every person that said opinions along those lines for the Bethesda stuff. But they got really upset. They went out of their way to DM me on Twitch about how upset they were with actual personal insults and attacks just because I didn't like a gaming company that they like. And it wasn't even like I attacked a game that they specifically liked. I just said that I think Bethesda makes relatively bad stuff. Bad in my opinion, because it's not like stuff that I would typically sit down and play on my own. Like I said, Bethesda doesn't make good things. They got really upset. They got incredibly upset. And like, they were saying, like, I actually pasted some of their messages in Peeves' Discord, in general chat, like, it was like, I noticed that this dude messaged me, I messaged him back. Like, I fell asleep before I noticed that he messaged me. So I woke up, I was like, I got a fucking DM, what is this? Guy messages me, I'll human their guy, I'll message him back. And like hours later, another message. Still really angry. I mean, I just put my opinions, you know, I'm being pretty civil about the thing. A few hours later, another angry message. And like every single one of them has like a personal attack in them. Like a personal insult, like insulting the other person he's talking to, in this case me. Well, I'm not doing any of that, I'm just giving my opinions on a game, or a game studio. But the dude was so upset that he couldn't, like, handle it. It was so weird. Like, I don't understand how people get so invested in something that's completely disconnected from them, that if you criticize something they like, it's like a personal attack on their character. Like, it's weird. Yeah, it's quite some time ago, and I don't exactly remember the context, but like, I don't remember like a lot of the wording in them, or like going and looking back at the messages real quick that I posted in Peeves' chat or Peeves' Discord, like talking about people, because I was like, is this like normal? Like, am I insane, or like, is this guy like just actually upset? And a lot of people are like, yeah, no, he's generally upset. He's mad. He's malding. Like, I'm not a complete asshole, contrary to what a lot of people believe. I didn't, like, screenshot the fucking text with, like, his name and everything in it. I copy and pasted it in, like, one of the quote messages things. Like, nobody knows his name. I kind of remember his name. But, like, nobody actually knows who it was. Like, it's not going to affect any relationships like he has with anybody else if they happen to know the guy. Like, I don't feel like putting... Like, I'll put somebody on blast, but I'm not going to put their fucking name out there. But it's just funny because it's a very recent experience, and it's not the first time I've had people get like that. Basically just for mentioning that I don't like something that they are extreme fanboys of. I'm hungry. I'm very hungry. We've had it too. I think it's just a thing. It's a weird thing. It's just like, holy shit. It's like, you can't just have like a civil conversation with people about you and them having a disagreeing opinion. Because if it's a very much, if you're not with me, you're against me mentality. And it's ridiculous. It's like, why can't you just have a talk about something you both have an opinion about in like a back and forth. It's no, fuck you, you're wrong, you're retarded, and shit like that. It's like, what the fuck? Like, I'm retarded because I don't like something you do? Okay, dude. I guess, that's fine. That's a sword, not a staff. Thanks, camera. Alright.
By the Scarlet Rot.
That was a really good fucking run until the camera was like, nah, I'm not gonna lock on. Which is another problem I have with this game. Just by the way. The camera likes to be really fucky, like, often. The lock-on is also terrible. But the way the lock-on prioritizes enemies that you're close to is ridiculous. It's like, you kill something that you're locked onto, and if you have the auto-shift lock-on thing on, it'll shift to a fucking enemy miles away from you, when there's an enemy literally right in front of you that it could have locked onto instead. And it'll, like, force your camera to fucking turn, and it's terrible. You just be talking on your own about not liking something, and then someone who loves it will run in like, how fucking... That's not what you said. Will run in like, how dare you insult my favorite game? Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.